Now, change of subject for the next few minutes. We're talking about women's sport. Is men's sport always going to overshadow women's sport? We're hearing on the programme this morning about how women's football became popular during the First World War, and yet women's sport rarely covered on terrestrial television, except for the big events such as the Women's FA Cup final, Wimbledon. There is some golf on the BBC and Sky, but not as much coverage as the men's game. Although it's been announced that Susie Wolff will become the first woman to take part in a Formula One event of any kind in 22 years, why don't we have more women's sport on the TV? Let's talk first of all to Mike Buchanan from the political party Justice for Men and Boys. Mike, good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Mike.
It's chicken and egg this, surely. If we put more women's sport on the TV, then more people would be interested.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. The vast majority of women have no interest in engaging in sports nor watching sports. Now, why is that?
Hang on. Where do you get that from?
It's just,
That's not true, is it?
I invite anyone to go along to a public park and see the proportion of people who are exercising, kicking footballs and so on. There's no problem here. Why do we have this permanent obsession with pandering to women, whether it's to encourage them to play or watch sports, to become MPs, engineers and whatever? Men and women are different.
But we live in a world where equality is important, don't we?
Yes, we do, but at the end of the day, men and women are interested in different things.
Well, and women don't want to take part in sport.
Well, no, not in anything like the numbers that men do.
Why not? Tell me why not.
Because men and women are different. This relentless pressure to make women more like men and men more like women is making both men and women miserable. If you take, women are more interested than men in reading magazines about celebrities, fashion, hair, or whatever. So should we be encouraging men to read those magazines?
Oh, that is an insulting stereotype, isn't it, Mike?
Are you seriously telling me that men are as likely to read celebrity magazines as women?
But it's wrong to say that women just like to read celebrity-based magazines, isn't it?
I'm not saying that, but I'm simply saying that if you look at the genders, men and women have different interests. And what I'm saying is that's not a problem. If women don't want to engage in sports or to watch sports, so be it. There is no problem.
So you do not think there should be any more women's sport on TV?
Of course not. There's probably more than enough as it is. The viewing figures for women's sport are low because women's sport in general is pretty dull. If you take soccer, the women's game at the top level, it's like watching a bunch of 12-year-old boys kicking a football around.
Are you not making ridiculous, sweeping allegations here?
I say no, I'm not, because at the end of the day, if women's sport was exciting, people would watch it. But it's mainly pretty dull. So neither men nor women will watch it.
Let's stay on the line, Mike. This is the number, by the way. If you disagree with Mike, it's 01642 225511. Listening in on the other line, we've got Shona Malcolm from the Ladies Golf Union. Morning, Shona.
Good morning, Mike.
Is Mike right?
Obviously, I have to disagree with Mike. I think both genders, you'll find people who are desperately interested in watching sport. You'll also find in both genders people who like to read celebrity magazines. I have to tell you, I've never read a celebrity magazine in my life. But when I was younger, I did play a bit of football. And unfortunately, at that time, girls didn't have the opportunity to move on to a higher level. The opportunities weren't there. What I think is really very encouraging is opportunities are there now for girls and ladies to get more involved in sport. That's been an evolutionary process. That's something that's worked its way through over the years. I really think that there's plenty of opportunity now, and both genders are equally interested in watching sport.
So, do you believe then, if you put more women's sport on TV, more women start to take an interest and take part?
I don't think there's any doubt that would have a positive effect on women. What we really need in women's sport is role models. If you've got a really good role model in any sport, then that encourages people. If you look at in golf in particular just now, we've got a young, very new professional golfer, Charlie Hull. Charlie played amateur, played out in our Curtis Cup team 2 years ago, and last year played in the Solheim Cup team, which is the professional golf equivalent. And this youngster is getting lots of media attention, will presumably get lots of sponsorship in due course, and is really out there promoting the game of golf.
Okay, well, can I introduce you to Mike, who's on the other line here? I mean, what do you say to that, Mike?
This whole role model argument, I mean, it's kind of saying that women are sheep, that they're feeble-minded. You know, at the end of the day, if women's sports on BBC in particular get low viewing figures, to put them on is just sexist. No, we wouldn't put on men's sports that attract the derisory audiences that women's sports in general do. So why this sexist positioning?
Shona?
Well, you know, you maybe say that that women are sheep following role models, but it's a proven fact that when Tiger Woods came into the game of golf, loads of men started playing golf because Tiger Woods was the role model. So, you know, I think it's the same for both genders. I can't see what the excitement is.
It's quite an interesting point you make about Tiger Woods, but there's no more a need for more women's sports on TV than there's a need for more white sprinters in the men's Olympics 100 metres final.
Well, I think, obviously I work in golf, so it's a sport I know more about, but we get fantastic viewing figures when the Ricoh Women's British Open is on the BBC. We get loads of people coming along to...
Shona, I'm sorry, but when you say fantastic, not compared to the men's game?
Possibly not compared to the men's game, but that's purely because the men's game is on from 8 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and we have a 3 and 4 hour slot. So, relatively speaking, I think it's all right.
There's a big audience for them. There's a big audience for the men's game. You know, you could have women's golf on all day, and you'll still get a small audience because you know, men and women are not interested in watching it in serious numbers.
Shona, do you believe that the BBC has a responsibility? Because at the moment, you know, the BBC is saying we want more women presenters on TV and radio. They've also said there'll be no male-only panels on comedy shows in future. Do you believe the BBC has a responsibility to put on more female sport?
I think it's a responsibility to put on top sport. I think it's got a responsibility to put on sport, no matter what the gender, but as long as it's the top end of sport. And I'm not a fan of positive discrimination at all, but I think it should be the right people on panels, the right sports that are on the television, and the ones that are going to catch the imagination and actually improve participation.
So which ones do you think should be on?
Well, of course, I'm going to say more golf. But you know, if you look at the Winter Olympics there, I mean, I watched the curling, both men's and women's, both avidly. I thought that was fantastic. I watched the bobsleigh, all of these sort of things, and it didn't matter whether it was men or women that were participating. It was the sport itself that was the attraction. Okay, final word to you, Mike.
Yes, we keep hearing this from women saying that they don't want positive discrimination. But Shona just said, with regard to panel games and so on, I don't believe in positive discrimination, but we need the right people. And the right people are always, it's always about having more women.
And what's your problem with that?
Well, because at the end of the day, it should be on the basis of merit, and so we have panel games in which male, mock the week and so on, in which male comedians are just better in that environment. The BBC are pushing female comics onto these things, and they're just not as good.
All right,
and everyone knows it.
Do they? All right, there we go. Then, do you agree with Mike? Straying into comedians there as well. So is there anybody listening to BBC Tees this morning that would like to watch more women's sport? Or is it a dead duck? Is it dull and boring? As has just been suggested by one of my guests. What would you like to see? Who is prepared to watch more women's sport? This is a number, do get in touch. 01642 225511. If you'd rather text, then it's 81333. Start your message with the word tease, and then it comes to the right place. Steve Hewlett is a broadcaster and media commentator. I spoke to him earlier this morning. Given that there's a big drive on at the moment to have more women on comedy panel shows and more women presenters, do you think that the BBC perhaps has a duty to put more women's sport onto television?
Well, if the BBC can sport and find women's sport that people want to watch, then yes, I think in broadly speaking, more women's sport should be on TV. But I think it's just important to go back half a step. The reason that in TV terms sport is so effective, or some sport is so effective, is because it is, if you like, drama incarnate. Now, to work as drama, you have to have some investment in the characters and in the outcome. Now, Premiership Soccer has a pretty broad following. It's a very popular game, but it's taken decades and generations for it to become the thing that so many people care so much about. So it has, every Premiership game has drama built into it. Your listeners will know this much better than me. You know, if Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle, whoever it is are playing a game, everyone knows the backstory, everyone knows the manager's in trouble, everyone knows this striker is on the skids, everyone knows that this new player's cost XD million. You know, the drama is built into it. So it works because it's drama rather than because of sometimes the sport itself. And another example that might be the Olympics, where it gets huge viewing. We all buy into it. We all get really, really excited by it. I haven't got the foggiest idea about the rules of Taekwondo. I really haven't. But when I saw that girl win, I was absolutely chuffed. And the thing is, the idea, though, that what that means is there is a mass market for Taekwondo on television, that's simply wrong. Because we buy into the Olympics because the moment of drama is clear, and we all know who we want to win. And the sport, in one sense, doesn't matter. The technical side of the sport doesn't matter. So the problem that women's sport has got is this. It's only just beginning to emerge as something which brings with it the level of drama and interest, or the level of interest and knowledge and background and character and investment in outcomes that makes it a television sport.
So Steve Hewlett talking to me earlier this morning. Let's talk to Eleanor Pinder, project manager on several projects that work in conjunction with Middlesbrough Football Club in the community. Eleanor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Could we do with more women's sport on the telly?
I think so. I think I play sport myself. I'm a netballer, and netball is actually on Sky at the minute. They've signed up a deal to the Super League, so that is on, and I do watch it. But to be honest, that's the only sport I could tell you about female-wise that's regularly on TV.
Now, I was talking to somebody a few minutes ago, he's called Mike, who believes that women simply don't want to take part in sport. And when they do, it's just dull and boring.
Not at all. I take part in sport. I absolutely love it. It's a real passion of mine. We do many projects through our Us Girls project, which is a national scheme, and we have hundreds of women coming through that, and they all want to take part in sport. It's not, I think there's different levels. So you've got your competitive level and people playing in competitions and leagues, and then you've got your sort of back to netballs, your sessions for people who maybe don't want that competition and just want to socialise and have fun.
Are women too busy, especially if they've got a family? Are they too busy to play sport?
No. Well, no. Why would? It's the same for men. They have families.
They do, but you could argue they don't have as much to do in the family.
I don't know. I have a 9-month-old daughter, and I play netball twice a week, and having a 9-month-old daughter hasn't stopped me.
So which sports do you think we could put on the telly a bit more, women's sports?
Well, I think football, obviously, it has increased slightly. As working for Middlesbrough Football Club Foundation, we run 12 satellite clubs a week for women footballers, and there's plenty of uptake. So I don't see why that's not promoted a lot more on television. But a range of sports. You watch the Winter Olympics, there was, the women's curling team, that was popular.
Absolutely.
Other women's sports, I don't see why women's rugby, that's popular. That's not on TV.
And do you genuinely believe then, Eleanor, that if all right, that it would get really small audiences at first, but it would grow in time?
Yeah, I would watch it.
Is the quality of women's football as good?
It's a different level, I suppose. It's not as fast, potentially, but that doesn't mean it's not watchable. Does it also mean more women want to have a go? Actually play it? I hope so. We found, as I said, with our satellite clubs, we've had a large uptake, and actually when we were presented with this model of 12 satellite clubs a week to engage 180 participants a week, we actually thought that we'd struggle, but we haven't. There are plenty of people out there that want to take part. And it's interesting, talking to our media commentator, Steve Hewlett there, he says that the reason that football is so popular is because it is a drama. It is a soap on the pitch, really. I know, I heard him say that, but then he was saying that from a male perspective, or a male footballing game, why wouldn't there be drama in a female one?
Well, you've got to grow it, haven't you? You have to grow the drama, and that's going to take some time.
Well, I think if you grow it and you start at ground level and grassroots, and you have all these funds from us girls and from Sport England, and they're developing the girls and increasing the numbers in disadvantaged areas of women taking part in football, then you've got the engagement and you've got more people taking part, and then, as you say, it slowly grows and potentially it is televised a lot more.
How many hours sport do you play in a week, Eleanor?
Me?
Yes.
5 or 6.
And is it football or is it something else?
No, I'm a netballer.
Netballer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good to talk to you.
And you, thank you.
All right, if you're a woman and you play sport, do get in touch. 01642 225511. We'll talk more netball in just a moment. Would you like to see more women's sport on the telly, Nick?
Oh, yeah, I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, women's football's very entertaining.
Yeah, and cricket.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And we're pretty good at it too, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes. Coast Road, Blackhall Colliery, and we have roadworks around Blackhall. Temporary traffic lights there.